Oh, Blackhawks fans, welcome back to another edition of the Four Feathers podcast. I am Ron Luce. I'm joined by, that guy, Mr. Tony Marchese. It's been too long yet again, but we are back talking Blackhawks hockey. Tone, this team is fun. This team's a lot of fun. How are you doing? How are you feeling? And happy hump day.
Yes. On all accounts, it is Wednesday. We are here talking some Blackhawks hockey, and the Blackhawks are, in fact, as you mentioned there, Ronald, very fun. A lot of wins since we last talked on these airwaves. A lot of wins coming in, a lot of points racking up, things we like to see, Ron. That's got me feeling pretty damn good about this Chicago Blackhawks team right now. Before we go any further, I will say this. This is what's making me feel the best. Entering the season, according to MoneyPuck.com, Blackhawks had a 4.8 chance of making the playoffs. As we sit here tonight, Ronald, those chances have increased up to 49.8, just under 50%. That's very good. That's very good in terms of improving your playoff odds. Ronald, how are you feeling about the Chicago Blackhawks?
Tony, I think I'm feeling a lot of the same emotion. We've got 3 games on the docket that we're discussing. The Hawks keep the point streak alive, not necessarily the win streak. OT loss to the Devils tied in there, but a pair of wins against the Maple Leafs and the Flames over the last 2 has the Hawks sitting pretty. And as you mentioned, Tony, almost 50%. It's nearly a coin flip that the Blackhawks could be in the playoffs. Now, again, there's still a lot of hockey to be played, but we know the kind of cliche around American Thanksgiving. We're getting damn close. The Hawks have a lot of home hockey. We'll talk about some of that later. The chances look good, Tone. They look good that this team is, maybe if they're not there, they're at least going to be pretty close. And if you want to talk about, like you said, turning it around, a coaching hire working for where this team is at, the Hawks got to be feeling pretty good right now with how this season has started off. And I know I'm excited about it. 2 more wins at home over the last 3. They're humming, Tone. They're humming.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. I was in attendance. I know you were not for the OT game against the New Jersey Devils. I thought they played the Devils pretty well, Ron. I don't know what your thoughts are on this one, but for a team that was missing both Andre Burakovsky and Frank Nazar, who was injured in a game, I believe, against Calgary before that game.
That is correct.
Still out of the lineup there against the Devils. They were able to go to OT in this one. Bedard kept his point streak alive. Sam Lafferty had, I think, so far, I mean, I know Connor Bedard. Everybody's going to want to talk about Connor Bedard highlights. But Sam Lafferty had one of the best goals I think I've seen scored this season to send this thing into OT. I was impressed. Obviously, you want to leave the UC with a win, but I thought that they played a pretty damn good Devils team quite well, just not enough to secure the victory in that one. But there was a lot of good that you still saw from this team. It wasn't last year's loss, we'll put it that way.
Definitely.
It was not a last year type loss. It was a competitive hockey game against a good team, and you kept the point streak live. That's what you want to do when you're chasing down a playoff spot. So I was happy with the 1 point. Wish it would have been 2, but that game against the Devils, I thought probably could have went either way. And it just, unfortunately, that's hockey. Sometimes you're not going to win them all.
And kudos to Spencer Knight, who really kept the
Yes.
Hawks in that game as well at points. You mentioned it's a good Devils team. I think a lot of people were initially maybe soured in the general fan base of like, wait, why did they lost in overtime? That sucks. And then you look at the standings, because a lot of people that watch Blackhawks hockey don't pay attention to the Eastern Conference. The Devils are at the top of the Metropolitan Division. It's a good hockey team that you took to overtime and you had a chance against. And I agree. Incredible goal by Sam Lafferty in that one. Tony, I will note though that maybe the Devils stirred up some bad Blackhawks, some bad juju in the city, because one Jack Hughes had a freak accident where he cut his hand at their team dinner when here in Chicago.
I did see.
Maybe so good that just teams are unlucky when they come to play the Hawks at the UC.
Hey, I saw this because it created quite the stir on social media, Ron. I don't know about you, but I've got a little bit of a bone to pick with this one. This might be a little early, ruffle some feathers.
Oh,
just because Jack Hughes was injured off the ice at I believe it was a steakhouse establishment that this incident took place at. But I heard that this restaurant in question here has been bombarded with bad Google reviews and Yelp reviews from the New Jersey Devils fan base, trying to take down a Chicago establishment. I don't know that. I don't know that. I just don't like that. I don't like that. I don't think that that's a fair play here, Ron. Do you think that that's fair play? If Connor Bedard went to, let's say it's a Vancouver restaurant and was injured, do you think he would want us fans out there trashing the establishment? I don't think so. I don't know. That seems like a New Jersey thing to me. I'm sure I'm going to make a bunch of New Jersey friends for saying this, but I don't think that's fair play. I don't think that's fair play.
I think it's kind of rough, but I mean, everybody in the city of Chicago knows that Chicago Cut is still a good restaurant, and so yeah, maybe a low blow. It's unfortunate, right? It was an accident. Shit happens. Like, I don't care who you are, what situation. It's not like they were actually.
Jack Hughes was out there looking for the Chicago Cut experience, and he got one.
Yeah, and yeah, literally and figuratively in the sense. No, I think it was just a freak thing. Teams are going to get together on the road. That's part of being a team. Inevitably, this type of stuff can happen. It doesn't happen often by any means, but sometimes that happens. And that's just a really unfortunate incident that he gets cut and now has to miss time because of it. Again, the NHL is better off when their superstars are in the game, no matter what team they play for. It's a loss for more than just the Devils. It's a loss for the NHL as well, and I think for fans, because Jackie was damn good hockey player.
Not our first food-related sports incident this year either, Ronald. If you can remember back, Scotty Scheffler missed some time at the beginning of the PGA Tour season. I think this was actually around Christmas last year, so I think it took place in 2024, but cut his hand making some raviolis. And now you've got Jack Hughes going down. Athletes maybe need someone to cut their food for them or prepare their meals a little bit better.
Or do their dishes for them, because former White Sox and Cub Jose Quintana cut his hand doing dishes.
Yeah.
And missed, I believe it was the COVID season.
Athletes should stay away from silverware, is what we've learned over all three of these things. So I don't know. Hopefully, best of luck. He can return this season and things will be okay. Again, you don't want to wish injuries to superstars in the league and freak things, but it's just, I've seen enough of silverware taking out athletes. Hey, we need to tone it down, maybe get them, someone to prepare their meals, maybe spoon feed them. We're not far from that being in contracts. Ron, I don't know about you, but I could see, maybe Kyle Davidson puts that in Connor Bedard saying he's not allowed to eat, with steak knives or any sharp objects going forward. We want to keep him on the ice. Just something to think about,
Plastic cups and and
safety,
not as super
safety
sharp
sporks.
silverware.
Safety sporks.
Safety sporks, indeed. Sounds electric. But nonetheless, Tone, also in that game, Landon Slager got his first goal of the season. Again, unfortunate that it was in a loss, but some good things there. Bedard also kept the scoring going as well. And then speaking of things that are going How about down go the Leafs, Tone, on Saturday? Frank Nazar, Andre Burakovsky both return in that game, but no Tyler Bertuzzi. However, some of the grit players on on the team, right? Brian Green, you've got Colton Dock as well, both scoring in that one, and then a silky smooth goal from Teuvo Teravainen off a really hardworking effort play by Frank Nazar that's kind of becoming his just bread and butter, these hardworking, just almost superhuman plays because he's just balls to the walls 100% of the time. That one ultimately another great game for Spencer Knight as well as the Blackhawks take down the Maple Leafs. So I know that one was not only an incredible hockey game, over 20,000 at the United Center for that game for the first and only time so far this season. That's a great crowd on a Saturday night for an original six matchup that ends up in a Hawks win.
Yep, and I would say that there was a little bit of reasoning for that. The first centennial era celebration, they had the nice pregame ceremony. Pat Foley was back in attendance there at the UC. A couple of Blackhawks legends also making appearances, and then some family members of former Blackhawks legends as well. I know a couple of people who made it out to this one. There were some technical difficulties, though, for the Hawks trying to get this ceremony up and running. I guess there was an issue with the projection system, from what I heard. Didn't seem like too bad of a delay. But, you know, these centennial celebrations, and as you know, we've been to many of the jersey retirement ceremonies, opening nights, playoff games throughout our Blackhawks fandom. Hawks always do a really good job of putting these events on. And there was also a bobblehead giveaway, one of the bobbleheads in the Centennial Series that they're giving out this year. So a little extra incentive for fans to come out to this one. Couple that with as you mentioned, an original six matchup, Toronto Maple Leafs, Chicago Blackhawks, Saturday night. The crowd sounded great. You mentioned this on one of the last shows, Ron, and we'll dig back into this in this little segment here. When this building is rocking, and Connor Bedard made a comment about it in the next game after the Flames game, but it seems like the team has responded to this environment, and they're giving a little extra on the ice when it comes to, you know, just the fans and everybody being there in attendance for this. These guys saw, and most of them, outside of a couple of guys, most of them saw what it was like playing for the Chicago Blackhawks last year and even the year prior, and what the normal crowd is like. And, you know, they get up for these special games. This was one of, I believe there's going to be three more of these types of games where you're probably going to see a sellout crowd. And if you continue to keep yourself where you are in the standings right now, I wouldn't be shocked, as we mentioned on our last show, if there's a couple more of those sprinkled in throughout the stretch of the season. You know, the Black Friday game is always normally well attended as well. We got that coming up. So I liked what I saw. It was a different atmosphere at the UC. I unfortunately wasn't in attendance, was watching this one on TV, but from all accounts that I've heard, the UC felt like it did during a time when this team was playing for something. And I hope that that's what the UC atmosphere is for the rest of the season going forward. What are your thoughts on this, Ron? Do you think the attendance is going to stay a little inflated with the recent performance of the team, or do you see it kind of slipping back to normal levels as we approach the holiday season here?
Tony, I think with the holidays coming along, I think the big crowds are going to continue to draw, especially as this team is getting good and they're starting to generate some momentum now, right? Like fall sports are slowly starting to wind down outside of the NFL. Collegiate sports are winding down from the fall. You know, a lot more people are starting to focus in on this Blackhawks team now that the weather is starting to change as well. Still a really good crowd on Tuesday to see Connor Bedard pitch a hat trick, as we're going to get to in just a hot second. But I really think it's going to continue to at least stay at a really respectable level when it's all said and done, especially over the rest of this month. It's the holiday season here. Thanksgiving, American Thanksgiving's coming up. This team is hot. They're playing good hockey, and they play a ton at home. One road game between today, Tony, when we're recording, and the end of November for this Blackhawks team. There's a
I
lot of
believe
home
that's
hockey
coming up
coming.
next week against Buffalo, correct?
That's this week, Friday
Yeah,
against
this week,
Buffalo.
Friday.
So,
Yep.
I mean, it's quickly here, and they're playing competitive hockey at a time where the benchmark kind of gets set for who they believe is truly a playoff team. They're speaking volumes, and I think Chicago is going to continue to respond. But Tony, I mean, I think also from that game, you saw just other players, other young guys start to step up and make big plays. Artem Levshinov had a great play to set up Green for the goal. You know, Colton Dock being in front of the net, being that kind of just grit presence who can tip pucks. He comes up with a huge goal as well. This was an important game, I think, for the Hawks. And even though the Leafs are a little, they're not quite the same as they were last year, the Hawks have always played the Leafs well in this Matthews, Nylander, I'll call it administration of the Toronto Maple Leafs. They've been able to keep up with those guys. We were in attendance for one of those when Korchinski scored the overtime winner just a few seasons ago. So
Yes.
I think that was a great matchup for them, and the youth was able to shine through, Tone. And then obviously Connor Bedard stole the show then on Tuesday.
Stole the show, he did. And guess what, Ron? He is good. He is good at
He's so
hockey.
good, Tony.
Not that I ever had a doubt, but when you're starting to see this kid leading the league in things, not just the team, you're seeing him up at the top of the league in categories that matter. That's what you drafted. That's what you've been waiting for. And it was always going to take a little bit of time. But we're getting very close to a certain record that was set by Eddie O. Most goals scored under 21. And if you're looking at the calendar, it's probably going to happen potentially by the end of this month, if not sometime in December. Because we're getting close. We're getting close to him being at the top of almost every rookie category in the Blackhawks record books, Ron. He's here. He's the real deal. And that's exciting as hell. That is exciting as hell. A lot of stuff coming out of the locker room after he secured the hat trick, where, a lot of the guys are starting to joke about, just how on fire this kid is right now. I really am lost for words because as a Blackhawks fan, you kind of feel blessed, right? You feel a little blessed with this. In the back of my mind, there's also a contract situation that's coming up very quickly here. And as this continues, you're realizing right now Connor Bedard has everything in the world to play for. He has the Olympics to play for. He has a contract to play for. He has, this budding, somewhat rivalry with Macklin Celebrini to play for. He's got the Chicago Blackhawks to play for, which seemingly is his number one thing at this very moment. Winning them hockey games. He said it in that interview with Frank Nazar earlier this season in the nationally televised game. They want to win now. They've been winning now. And I know a lot of people have, waited for the other shoe to drop so far in this season. And that's not to say that it won't. That's not to say that there might be, road bumps in the road as we continue into, the second half of this season. But Connor Bedard is playing like the superstar that everybody thought he was going to be when he was drafted. When you attached generational labels to him, he's been the complete package really so far this season, Ron. And I'm ecstatic because this is exactly the type of thing that we expected when the Blackhawks won the lottery and knew they had won the Connor Bedard sweepstakes. This is the payoff. This is the riches. And it's only going to get better as he continues to grow. This is year 3. He's not even 21 years old yet. Imagine, you're looking at this now. Imagine what this looks like in 3 to 4 years. That's going to be fucking disgusting.
Yeah. He's going
to be fucking disgusting.
He's going to be worth every penny, Tone, of whatever they decide to pay him. I know that's a concern, but he's continuing to play really good hockey. The hat trick, his second of the season. Incredible. You know, the first and third goals were more effort plays, which I think is not what we're used to seeing in Connor Bedard's highlight reel, but we're starting to see more of this year. And I think that's also part of his growth as a hockey player. Pokes it through the goalie's wickets for the first one, and then a really nice effort play. Gets the puck taken from him, gets it right back, and then just flings that bitch down the ice and puts it in for the hat trick goal. But that second one, that was the state-of-the-art release of Connor Bedard on full display, moving that puck to a crazy angle and ultimately scoring over Dustin Wolf was a thing of beauty. Tony, while we're on the subject of the young kids, obviously Connor Bedard's stealing a lot of the spotlight right now. Also wore an A on his sweater in the absence of Nick Foligno, which that we'll talk about here in a moment as well and expand upon it at a point. But Oliver Moore with 2 points in this game, a goal and an assist. His goal also coming on a nice effort play, just going hard to the net, using that speed and getting off a chance. Arvid Soderblom looked pretty good. And again, wasn't attacked a ton, but I think overall the Blackhawks would probably agree that they're pretty happy with how he played. It really feels like right now, Tony, that the kids are starting to carry the team. And that's exactly what I know I said during the summer when everybody was stressing out about the direction of this team. If the growth is going to happen, it's going to happen with these kids taking that next step. And that's what we're seeing right now. Connor Bedard, Frank Nazar, the blue line as a whole, because it's one of the youngest in the league. All these guys, Spencer Knight included, Oliver Moore, Green, Doc, these guys are starting to step up, and there's more coming, right? We've talked about a number of those names. Anton Frondell, this year's top number 3 overall draft pick. He's on his way. You've got another guy that we're going to talk about because he's doing incredible things over in the KHL. There's a lot of excitement right now, and this is the tip of the iceberg, and they're still winning hockey games, like you said, Tony. And it's fun to watch Blackhawks hockey again, man, because, Tony, you alluded to it a little earlier, but I'd like to dive in a little bit more on this topic. Almost a 50% chance as a playoff team. This is probably better, I think, Tony, than a lot of fans expected at this point in the season. I think people were hoping to see some growth, but this is accelerated growth from a youth-carried Blackhawks team right now. That is, they're gonna piss off a lot of teams late in the year. And it's going to be really fun to watch. It's going to be must-watch hockey, dare I say, as the spring inches closer in the NHL or the Stanley Cup playoffs, pardon me, get ready to start over the course of the summer.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And I will say they are ahead of where I thought they would be right now in terms of placement in the standing. I thought maybe you'd see them hovering 4 to 6 points below a playoff spot. Not really close to being tied for a top 3 division spot. And, that game in Winnipeg goes a different way. And all of a sudden, you're up there in that 3rd spot right now. Hey, you get through this week and you keep putting up points. This is 49% chance we're a week away. We're just under or just over a week away from Thanksgiving. So yeah, we talk about the cliches. We talk about all this stuff. I still want to preach cautious optimism because there's a lot of hockey left to play. But how could you not be enthralled with what you've seen so far? It's been incredible. The growth has been absolutely incredible. And, you brought up the young guys that are getting the job done. Let's give a little love to some of the vets on this team as well. Grzelcyk has been a really underrated acquisition on the blue line.
Indeed.
Andrei Burakovsky has been just a breath of fresh air in the top 6. You called that one, so you can take the victory laps on it. Tyler Bertuzzi had a stretch for a week where he was just absolutely carrying the offense. Role player, playing his role, right? Get to the net, get to the dirty areas. What do you want Tyler Bertuzzi to do? He's doing exactly that. Teuvo Teravainen quietly having a pretty decent season.
As always.
We haven't seen a lot from Jason Dickinson, who's been injured, but the vets on this team have quietly been doing what they're supposed to be doing, which is being complementary pieces to some of the young, quick, fast talent that is on this team. And so far it's worked. Why has it worked? I have to give a lot of that credit to the new coaching staff, Jeff Blashill, that they seem to be prepared for games better than they have. The third period, every broadcast that I've watched so far, they've talked about how great this team is in the third period, and they show up in the third period. They're one of the best third period teams in hockey so far this season, and that's where they're scoring a lot of goals is late in games. They're able to ramp themselves up. And do you remember when they would talk about the Stanley Cup teams, and the old cliche was, well, they're going to flip a switch and get the job done, or Q's going to go to the line blender and they're just going to create offensive opportunities. You sort of see a mini version of that in the third period from this hockey team, capitalizing on opportunities that some of these past teams that we've watched over the past couple of seasons were unable to do. So the energy around the team is completely different. The eye test tells you that this team is playing at a different level. And, my favorite thing, I haven't even mentioned this. You brought up Arvid Soderblom. How nice is it to be able to go to your backup goaltender against a bottom-dwelling team in the league and be able to win a hockey game? That's kind of what good hockey teams do, Ron.
100%.
That's the playbook. We're versing a lesser opponent. We're going to put our backup goaltender in and be able to get out of this game with a win.
Yeah.
Okay. When you start doing that and you're in a playoff spot in mid-November, that's a sign of a good team. I didn't expect the jump to be that fast, and I still expect there to be bumps in the road, but the signs are there. The people are starting to get excited about this. You're starting to see them play with confidence.
Definitely.
Not even just we're young and dumb, but we're young, dumb, and confident. And that normally spells danger, as you said, for good teams down the stretch. So I really don't have a lot of negative things to say about the Chicago Blackhawks for what feels like the first time in years, Ron. Years. I'm struggling right now to find something that I am pissed off about when it comes to Blackhawks hockey. And I'm sure they'll give me plenty of things to get pissed off about over the course of the remainder of the year. But right now, this is the fun part. This is watching the ascension of a young rebuilding team. And let's be honest with ourselves. If they don't make the playoffs, that was never the expectation. That's okay. That's okay. It might be different next year. It might be a whole lot more stressful next year when there are expectations on the team. This is the year to enjoy.
Yeah.
So I'm enjoying it, Ron. I'm enjoying it.
I'm right there with you, man. I'll tell you what. I think a nice transition, perhaps, that you set up for us. I think the only thing to be pissed off right now about is Nick Foligno missing from the lineup. And they have the reinforcement. Sam Lafferty has performed admirably. Landon Slaggert has performed his role well as well. But I think it's just you still appreciate that veteran in the lineup. He can go out there, play in defensive situations. Like Nick Foligno is still a valuable player to this team. He's going to be out for 4 weeks. So it's going to be really important that these kids kind of pick up the pace as they have so far and continue to move it forward. And part of that, Tony.
Dare I say, though, Ron, that this is a good litmus test for this team?
I agree.
Without their captain.
I completely agree.
I would like Nick Foligno to be in the lineup. But so far, he did miss a couple of games earlier this season due to a health issue in the family.
Sure.
And then now he's going to miss a little bit more extended time. I don't know if you're going to have Nick Foligno as the captain of the Chicago Blackhawks next year. And again, want him in the lineup. Think he brings a level of understanding and a calmness sort of to the team. But I think it's a good litmus test, especially for the young guys to get out there and prove themselves. So I wouldn't even put it that I'm pissed off that he's missing at the moment. I think that from a leadership standpoint, he's still around the guys. He's still there to deliver his message, but it's providing some opportunity. And it's earlier enough in the year where, okay, he's going to miss 4 weeks right now. Get healthy, stay healthy for the rest of the season, because he's a guy that you would want down the stretch for the playoffs. But if there's a time for him to miss a little bit of time here, I think right now is kind of the easiest part to miss of the schedule.
Most definitely. A lot of home hockey that certainly favors a young team. You're able to feed off the energy of the crowd. Um, and not terrible schedule really up until you get closer to December when you start to play some of these better teams in the league. Tony, I will say you mentioned right the litmus test for this team and performing without your captain. I think there's a lot of news in this because now Connor Bedard's wearing an A as a part of this leadership group. And remember, this was a guy that for the last 2 years, a number of people questioned his leadership abilities or being mature enough to be a leader, us included. We'll put our hands up and join that crowd. He's seemingly starting to change that tune. You see him growing as a person and as a player into his role, and he's understanding what it means to be the star of this team. And he gets it now. I'll tell you what, he's probably going to be your next captain. I think that's what this symbolizes because I think if it was Frank Nazar, he's the one wearing the A right now and not Connor Bedard. I think Connor Bedard wearing it is showing that this guy that you drafted number one overall to be the franchise is doing exactly that for you. Just as number one picks in the past have done, such as Connor McDavid, such as Sidney Crosby, where they're your captain, they're your undisputed leader, they're your best player on your team, and they know the expectation of what it means to wear that C in that city and with that franchise. And I think Connor Bedard's starting to get that. That's some of what we're starting to see here as well that I think is fascinating about Nick Foligno's absence is seeing him really put that leadership role in advance. He had some great quotes. He said how the refs were so nice to him with the A on, and he was like, "This is kind of great." I was like, he said he was never, he wasn't drawn through, he wasn't thrown out of the faceoff dot for the first time in his career wearing the A. So Connor Bedard maybe starting to like being a captain as well and being part of that leadership group moving forward. But speaking of injury here, Tone, as we were getting to this, Nick Lardis was a player that we've been keeping an eye on. I admittedly, I will admit when I'm a bad producer for the evening, I did not look up before this show whether or not he played for the Ice Hogs tonight. So I'm shamelessly going to do it right now as we are
He did
talking.
not. He was out.
He did not. Okay.
He was
See?
out. He's got an illness.
Okay.
And it's that time of year, Ron.
It
The
is.
illness bugs are going around, and I believe I saw Ben Pope was in attendance at tonight's Ice Hogs game and had thrown out a tweet that Lardis was absent from the lineup. I believe that's the second game missed due to an illness, but he's still cruising down there in Rockford. When do you think it's time?
Tone, I'll tell you what, missing some time now. I think it's going to be longer. I think he's going to be down there the whole year, unless injuries really start to take over and they say, you know what, kid, we've held you off long enough. You just have to step in and see what you can do right now. I really think they want him just to be that top line guy playing big minutes with next to Brett Seney, who's seemingly the one of the biggest developmental weapons that the Rockford Ice Hogs have right now.
Where that came from.
Yeah, and what a find. I mean, is really what that feels like. And just let him thrive in that role, right? Like we've seen Oliver Moore come up, and even though he's in more of a depth role, still be able to contribute offensively. But he's not expected to be the star scorer. I think they want Lardis to potentially be a guy that steps into your top nine and moves throughout those top three lines as a scoring option. So I think they want to give him as much time to grow as possible, unless it's absolutely necessary to bring him up. But that's just me. That's just me. Tony, speaking of guys that are on the horizon that are expected to be scorers, how about Roman Kanserov in the KHL? 18
This has
goals.
been your guy. This has been your guy. You've talked a lot about Roman Kanserov so far, and it feels like at least once a week, you're waking up, you're scrolling the timeline, and you're getting a highlight out of the KHL, and it's Roman Kantarov doing something completely nasty, and you're like, wait a second, this guy's in my prospect pipeline? Hell yeah. And I get, it's just these little reminders of what's still coming.
Oh,
And
yeah.
hey, Ron, I've got to say this. I went down to Nashville for this draft. Connor Bedard, Oliver Moore, Kantarov. Wasn't Lardis in that draft too? Or maybe yes, he was. What a draft. What a draft this is turning out to be for the Chicago Blackhawks if this continues to head in this direction. I remember it was you and I the next day, and we were doing grades for this. It's going to be something that we're going to have to pull back out in maybe 2-3 years. 2-3 years, and look at where they're at, because wow, that was the Kyle from Chicago draft.
Sure.
And that might go down as a very critical draft. And it probably will automatically just because Connor Bedard is the headliner. But even if you remove Connor Bedard from this draft class, Ron, and if you're an NHL organization and you just had Oliver Moore, Nick Lardis, and Roman Kantarov, I'm pretty sure most people are going to grade you fairly highly on where you sit right now. If we're looking at, okay, grade that draft, 2 years later, I would say that's looking
Definitely
pretty damn good. So add Connor Bedard on top of it, and that's icing on top of the cake. Yeah, I mean, exciting times. And again, it's more positive things to talk about.
more positivity indeed. Tone, I will say this. I think Puck and Hostile, as most know on the social airwaves, put out a great point about this draft just the other day on X. This might be like, this is the type of draft that, like, if you're another GM and you're like, something seems to be working over there. It's kind of a blueprint level draft where they took a lot of shots at a lot of talent and said, let's see what happens. And you hit on 4 huge names. Obviously, there's some luck involved getting Connor Bedard, but Oliver Moore has been great. Roman Kantarov seems like he's going to be a top prospect very, very soon, if not already. And Nick Lardis is the same way. That's huge, having that level of talent all come from one draft. There's not a lot of other drafts, really, ever since Kyle Davidson's been like in the spotlight, even as a lesser role with the organization, pretty much starting around 2019, 2020. So when you started to see this team actually be able to draft players well. And Kyle Davidson's done a lot of good work, because we also can't forget that Sam Renzel and Frank Nazar and some of these other important names came from the draft just the year prior. So 2 really good drafts from him. And again, drafts that seem that we're going to see what they provide here probably sooner rather than later, as soon as Antoine Frondel comes up and you've got your number 1 or your number 1 pick for the last 3 years playing, and you have at least 2 first rounders almost from every year outside of Boisvert and their 2025 first rounder. That's crazy that you have that much high level talent all in the NHL from just your last 3 drafts. Next level stuff, man.
Jury's still out on the Frondel class, but
Most definitely.
we'll see what happens. It's the pipeline stocked. No one's arguing that.
Yeah.
No one's arguing that. But that 2023 class is, I like how Puck and Haas laid it out. That's correct. That's a blueprint draft right there, Ronald. It's an exciting time to be a Hawks fan. It's a very exciting time to be a Hawks fan. I'm happy right now. I don't get to say that on here enough.
No. It's it feels good to be saying that yet again. Tony, though, I hate to ruin the good vibes, because it's time let's flip the switch.
Yeah.
It's time to ruffle some feathers.
We're ruffling feathers. Tony, what do you have for us, sir, to piss off the public?
Well, I feel like I kind of let mine out a little early, but what do you got?
Tony, I'll tell you what. Ron has no feathers to ruffle.
What?
That's when you know things are good in the world of Blackhawks hockey. This team right now, Tony. Tony, I have an anti-ruffle some feathers. for you.
Anti-ruffle some feathers. This is great.
I have enjoyed this Blackhawks team so much, almost as much or more than my Chicago Bears that I'm enjoying covering over at Bears on Tap. Because two of my favorite sports teams are thriving this season. The Blackhawks are making my life smile when it comes to sports. I'm so stressed out in other things that sports it's curing a lot of that again, and it feels phenomenal. It feels great. I am excited. It is appointment television to watch the Blackhawks. I'll be at the game tomorrow for the first time all season. I'm so excited to get back to the UC.
I've got a segue on this.
I am so just euphoric over this Blackhawks team right now, Tom, that I can't ruffle any feathers because it's good to be a Blackhawks fan right now, and they're going to continue to be really fun to watch now, especially with the holidays coming up over the next week or so.
Which leads me to my ruffle some feathers, Ron. And there's one person whose feathers I'm going to ruffle, and they're yours. I'm ruffling some Ron Lewis feathers right now. You haven't been to the UC yet.
Nope.
All season. And I feel like this is unacceptable behavior at November 20th, getting to the first game. So
Bad.
if things go wrong tomorrow, I've got one person to blame, and it's you.
It's me.
It's you. Because you called me yesterday or texted me, and you said that you turned the game on. I know you were live with the boys over on Bears on Tap doing a show, and you turned the game on. And I believe Calgary scored a goal, and you said you flipped it off, and then Bedard scored right after that. And I was like, this is interesting because I know you haven't been to the UC yet this year.
I know.
So speaking of litmus tests, there's a litmus test tomorrow, so you better pick the right jersey. We better bring home a dub tomorrow night at the UC. It's going to be a great game. I will be there myself, Ronald, and I cannot wait to crack a few with you and enjoy some Blackhawks hockey.
Most definitely. I'm super stoked to be back. I'll tell you what. I am a firm believer of just stitions. I have my stitions. And that's one for me. I am not that way when I watch a full game. Like if I can sit down before the game starts and watch it, if the other team scores, I'm waiting it out. I believe that there's chances for the game to come around and things like that. It's when I come in the middle of a game. If something negative happens immediately, that's the hockey god sign of me. Just you don't need to see this tonight. Just
you need to get out of here.
Just unless you want to sacrifice a win to watch the Blackhawks, you will take the win over watching your favorite team. It's truly taking one for the team.
You're a man of the people.
So that's what I do when I know I need to do it. I do it. Tomorrow though, I'm ready. I'm excited. I'm going to be very dialed in. It's been a long time. I'm super excited to see if there's anything new that I notice in the United Center. There's always little things every year that they tinker and switch up, and new places they add for food options or things of that nature. Naturally, I'm going to have to take an irrational spin around the store. Probably not buying anything, but there's going to be about 15 things I add to my want list for Christmas.
That's a good idea, Ron. We should go to the store tomorrow. And we're going to make a Ron's Christmas wish list.
Ron's Christmas wish list. Blackhawks wish list.
Yeah, we'll put it out. We'll put it out on ontapsportsnet.com. Ron's Christmas wish list. Because you have excellent taste in Blackhawks gear. Maybe you can help somebody out there.
Maybe. We'll have to watch and see. I know I'll be there early. That is the intention and goal with my guest. It will not be my habitual partner in crime at Blackhawks games, which is now my wife, but she will be there on Sunday and then with me on Black Friday. So we're going to get out there twice over the holidays. See, I'm excited about the holidays because I get to be at the UC 3 times in the next little over a week. It's pretty exciting. It's good. It's been a long time.
Yeah, you're gonna start getting back to the UC. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good.
It'll be good. It's gonna fully prepare and dial me in. What's that?
Our beard guy Tony's missed you all year.
That's true. I've missed.
And
I've
your
missed my
good
friends.
friend NWI Steve will be in attendance tomorrow night.
I'm very excited for that.
Sources are telling me.
Sources are saying that's going to be exciting. Because Tony, this is in a lot of ways the reunion of the White Sox doubleheader. Because that was the development of the Luis rolling the R Robert video of NWI Steve. Was tailgating at the formerly the G spot on the south side. That's where that happened. So it's a little bit of a reunion of sorts on a Thursday night. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
It will be.
We always have a great time crossing over with obviously the two of us and then our guests, whoever we bring, whether it's family or friends to games. So very excited about that, Tone. But Tony, let's get back to we're having a lot of fun complimenting things. So let's keep that trend going.
Time to give out some stick taps.
Tony, do you want to go first with stick tap since you politely gave me the chance for my anti-ruffle some feathers?
I do. And I could ruffle some feathers a little bit right here too, because I'm pretty sure either the Blackhawks are listening to this show or they just decided that they were going to throw out stick taps for people. And I'm pretty sure there was a tweet that came out for stick taps to Louis Crevier, Big Lou. And that was going to be my stick tap this week. And I wanted to give him stick taps just simply for the fact that this was a guy that you kind of thought going into the season, Big Lou is not really going to be the everyday guy. He's going to be there a couple of games, get in and out of the lineup. He's finding himself with a lot of minutes up there. Him and Vlasic have looked very well together. But if you've listened to this show for a long time, you know we love it when guys just fucking crank it. And Big Lou delivered one the other night. I think it's the second hardest shot in the NHL so far this season, up above 102 miles an hour. Now that is just fucking cranking it. So I love a good heavy slap shot. Big Lou took one the other day. I got to give you stick taps. If you're up there firing them at 102 miles an hour, that's awesome. Now, I'm the type of guy that watches all-star skills competitions because, what else is on in the middle of February if you're not doing the Four Nations? And I remember Seth Jones' abysmal performance in the hardest shot competition a couple of years ago. I don't think he broke like 85 miles an hour. And when you've got someone on the blue line that can bring it at 102, I think that's pretty cool and tough, and it deserves a couple of stick taps. Ronald, those are my stick taps for the week.
I love that. I will say this, Crevier would have to wait potentially another year to participate in the game. Obviously, he has to get there first, right? They do it amongst competitors. But if he was to compete, there is no All-Star game this year. We have the Olympics this year, which will be super exciting, and we'll be able to talk all about it come February as the NHL season pauses. It's funny. You brought up Louis Crevier. I'm going to kind of spin off of that, but stay on kind of the same track here. And I'm going to call my stick tap 7-11, but what I really mean is 11-7. And that's how Jeff Blashill has deployed his forwards and defensemen so far this season, Tone. And I don't know what it is, but it's fucking working. And what I think I enjoy the most about it is this. They have the forwards that are the horses that can play the big extended minutes. They've got those guys. Connor Bedard is that. Frank Nazar is that. Teuvo Teravainen can do it. Tyler Bertuzzi has shown that he can do it at times. They have the horses that can play those minutes when they need to on the front line. Burakovsky, hell, has even had some pretty big minute numbers so far this year. But with a young blue line consisting of players like your aforementioned Louis Crevier, who I think because of the 11-7 deployment was able to show what he can actually do and earn himself more minutes under Jeff Blashill and finding his important places, you mentioned, alongside Alex Vlasic on that defensive pairing. It allows all your young guys, one night, somebody can be the minute getter. And then all these guys can just develop at their own pace. Nobody's expected to play 24 minutes a night while they're still learning. This is hey, everybody's going to play enough minutes where you're getting adequate time, but you're not going to get exposed because you're not playing over what you should be at this point in your development. I think this is why they're finding a way to win with these younger players. And you're starting to see these guys grow a lot faster, I think, because of it. Artem Levshinov and his offensive confidence. Sam Brinzel to be able to say, you know what, I do have some things I need to work on. And maybe you deploy him a little bit less, but it gives him that time to work on those things because he's still playing enough minutes. It's a developmental track without having to send him to the AHL because he's still getting those minutes because of that 11-7 deployment. I think it continues to be impressive, guys like Wyatt Kaiser, so on and so forth. Grizzly, I think allowing those veterans to play like veterans and them not getting too gassed over the course of a game allows them to be the most effective version of themselves when it's Grizzly and Connor Murphy paired together. So I think what
the show is so different when we're not sitting here talking about bad defensive play.
It really is. It really is, man.
Crazy.
It is. I'll tell you right now, I think the 11-7 deployment by Jeff Blashill deserves stick taps because it's really working for the construct of this roster right now. And it's leading to wins. And I think it's a brilliant job of managing young talent while still giving them the necessary minutes and means to develop at the NHL level. I think that's critically important. I think it's a masterful job. So 7-11, and what I really mean is 11-7 is my stick tap for this evening, Tony. I think that's been a brilliant thing. And I look forward to seeing it in person for the first time this season. That's really going to get me excited. But Tony, we have to talk about what's on tap next because we keep mentioning Thursday's game. We'll be in attendance, so we know it's at home at the United Center. But the Chicago Blackhawks are welcoming the Seattle Kraken to town. This is the second time these teams will play. They played on the West Coast trip as well, just like they did against Calgary, who the Hawks saw on Tuesday. It's a 7 o'clock start. Tuesday was a 7:30 start. This one's a 7 o'clock start at the United Center on Thursday night. And then it's a quick trip for the Hawks. They got to get on a plane and take a quick flight over the Great Lakes to Buffalo, New York. It will be a 6 o'clock start on Friday night. So the second half of a back-to-back. I would expect we see Spencer Knight probably Thursday night in that. So that might be another Arvid Soderblom game on Friday after he played very well against the Calgary Flames. And then it's a quick trip back to Chicago as the top team in the West and in the Central, the Colorado Avalanche, come hailing in after an incredible start. Coming into today in 19 games, 13-1-5. Nathan
Yikes.
playing at an MVP level. That's one of those great 6 o'clock starts, Tone. So at least we got that to look forward to. But that's going to be a great measuring stick game for the Hawks, especially at home. How do you show up against literally the league's best right now? And I think that's going to be a great measuring stick to truly get a feel for how confident this hockey team is playing. So those are just the next 3 games, Tone. As we mentioned, they also then play around Thanksgiving. There's a little 2-day break in there. They'll play on the night before Thanksgiving. That'll be against the Minnesota Wild, and then they'll play the day after on Black Friday. That's against the Nashville Predators, so pair of Central Division matchups. But we will be back on these airwaves. Mark my words. Before that comes and goes, we'll be back early next week to talk about at least these 3 here over the course of the weekend. Maybe we even find a way somehow, some way to do a late night one on a Sunday or maybe a good old Monday show. Who knows? It's going to be a lot of fun regardless. Tony, I turn to you, my good sir. Any final thoughts? What's on tap next? Or what have you in this season 7, episode 9 before we go ahead and sign off and look forward to a trio of Hawks games starting on Thursday?
Yeah, I mean, it's same messaging. It just keeps reverberating out of my mouth right now is that I'm enjoying Blackhawks hockey, and I think most people are as well. If you haven't yet tuned into this team and you're trying to figure out what's going on with the Blackhawks and want to hop on board for the ride, now's probably the time to do so. Things have been fun. It's not a word that we've said around here. I just mentioned a couple of different things. This show's a lot different when you're not sitting here breaking down bad defensive play over and over again. My phone is starting to blow up during Hawks games, Ron. People are texting about this team. It's a good sign. It's a good sign. Haven't had that in years, except for, our Four Feathers group chats and stuff like that. And, real diehards. People who have followed the Hawks and maybe slightly fell off, just because of the bad play, which is normal. They're starting to get reinvested and want to be part of this. And that's a really healthy sign for an organization like this. So I really think that they've taken a huge step forward, not just a minor one, but a huge step forward this season so far. And it's on the ice. I've said this for years. Winning cures a lot of the things that are wrong around the edges. But you've got the team back on cable television. You've got a young, exciting product. You've got, we've talked about this a couple of times. You've got the centennial season, reasons to show up. Everything is so much different right now. And I look at this as sort of a marking point than when we walked out of Wrigley Field early in that Winter Classic game last season. And that felt like really like the bottom of where things were. That was the low of the low, because you were embarrassed nationally for so many different reasons. And just like, there is none of that talk about, Connor Bedard and questions and just this bottom of the bottom feeling that we had just under a year ago right now, when that youth movement came towards the back end of last season. We got a little taste of what we could potentially see. And it came with a lot of reservation, because you can just look at the stats. Hell, going into that Calgary game, the Hawks were underdogs on FanDuel at like plus 112.
Yeah.
So the world hasn't yet adjusted to a good Blackhawks team. Vegas hasn't adjusted to a good Blackhawks team. A lot of these things are still, indicating that this team was supposed to perform at the bottom of the league. There's opportunities here to have a lot of fun. I suggest, if you're a Hawks fan, you take advantage of such situations and have a lot of fun. That's my final statement. Have fun with this. If it goes awry, it goes awry. But I still think that even if this team falls out of a playoff spot and the performances from your young guys continue to be rock solid, if Spencer Knight continues to look rock solid, you're probably coming into next season with some playoff expectations. And that changes the game, especially in evaluations and how you're looking at stuff. Have fun with the rest of the season, and nothing can go wrong. That's my final thought, Ron.
Incredibly well said, sir. The only thing I will add is have fun and continue to have fun with us here at the Four Feathers podcast. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell button over on YouTube at OnTap Sportsnet. Of course, follow at Four Feathers Pod. And 5-star ratings would be awesome wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. And
subscribe on Spotify if you can.
Yes, that as well. Good call, Tony. So just a friendly reminder, follow us along here at the Four Feathers podcast. Tony, this is a blast. Hawks 2-0-1 since the last time we were on the microphone. We look forward to another 3 games this coming weekend, and we'll be back in action sometime early next week. Until then, Tony, let's go Hawks.
Let's go Hawks.